All right, welcome back to USA Archery's 2019 U.S. Open. It's time for our penultimate match of the day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Match number 5, USA Archery's 2019 U.S. Open. This is the compound women's gold medal match. In lane number 2, from Denmark, Tanja Jensen. And in lane number 1, from Arizona, Toja, Ellison.
All right, Crystal, so we are set for this one, and there's some other things that were going on this weekend other than qualification rounds. There were mixed team rounds that anyone can sign up for, and these two that we're going to see in this finals actually shot together on a team that they deemed Team Green Card.
Yep,
and they
along with Linda Anderson.
Yeah, right, exactly. Very funny, so friendly, the women that are shooting together. They did win silver, in talking to Toja before, about today. She was like, well, yesterday we needed a little bit of work. We're working on it. I'm like, oh, this is something you're going to do again. And she's like, definitely. All right, so here we are, compound archery, 50 meters. From where the archers stand to the target, it's an 80-centimeter target face, so smaller than the targets we've seen so far.
So same distance as barrel bow, but smaller target.
About 3.125 inches, the 10 ring. First to shoot. Unbelievable shooting from Toja Ellison this weekend.
Yeah, back-to-back 706s with this wind.
And you can see that is unusual. I mean, we're talking about the possibility that she broke a world record. Ooh. Tanja Jensen, both of them having to deal with it. So what we've seen here is with stabilization, these long stabilizer bars, it also, yes, it helps to stabilize, but also can catch wind, can it?
Yeah, and unlike the recurve with the set system, this is cumulative score, so if you have a bad arrow, it can cost you the match.
Yeah, and the other side of that is if you see your competitor have a bad arrow, you want to jump on it. And if you don't capitalize, it's like broken heart for a moment. Ellison starting to get it figured out.
So 10-9 liner on that one.
Yeah, wait for that call. For us, I think it looks like a 9.
Ooh.
A lot of English on that one from Jensen.
So my guess is a little bit of gust probably hit her right as she was about to release.
In the box for Tanja Jensen is Braden Galantine. In the box for Toja Ellison, this dude.
Who is he again?
It's a Brady Ellison. He's one of few. Gold medalist here.
Not sure who he is.
Yeah, her husband. So good advice coming from across the board. Of course, on the Tanja Jensen side, you have Braden Galantine, who is the most medaled, I guess, archer in world archery competition.
World number 1. Holds the world record for the 72 arrow round.
Bronze medal, I think, in Peru, right?
Silver medal.
Silver medal, sorry. So, Braden, sorry when you hear this. So, yeah, a lot of talent sitting on this field right now. What's interesting about Tanja Jensen is I actually got to shoot on the field with her today, like next to her today. We weren't shooting on the same bale, but at the same time, same line. She was right behind me. Is the speed of which Tanja Jensen likes to shoot. I'm a quick shooter, and she was always off the line before I was. And I asked her about that. I'm like, is this a race? And she goes, I don't know. If it sits and it works, I just want to get rid of the arrow. Just want to get rid of it. Get on to the next arrow.
She was one of the first women in history. I think she was the third to shoot a perfect 900 in Vegas. So she is very calm, collected under pressure.
Ellison.
It's going to start the match.
Yep. You can see cumulative scoring. So Jensen leads by a point. You see the movement in the bow. A tricky wind dropping low in an 8.
So she's now dropped as many points in this match as she did entire qualification either day.
Unbelievable.
So that just shows you what changing conditions can do, a little bit of nerves in the finals of the field, and really can make it tough on these archers.
9. We've been here really, Wednesday started official practice, and then we qualified Thursday, Friday, and then eliminations all day today, and it is without question the windiest it has been. You can see the look on Tanya's face.
We're used to these women shooting 10, 10,
oh, yeah.
10.
Oh, yeah.
And to see these, in the yellow, some in the red. This just is not what we're used to seeing.
Good shot,
but
yep.
good 10 there for Toja. She's going to be happy to end the set with a 10.
One way we denote a compound bow too is great shot. One way that we denote a compound bow is going to be what we call axle to axle, and that is, as you can see, would be the axle that's holding on the cams. What's the distance? And so for these women, you know, shooting 38-inch, 40-inch axle to axle bows sitting out in the wind, that's more of a windsock, I guess you could say, isn't it, Crystal?
Yeah, but if we compare that to a recurve, which we saw earlier, and it's much shorter. So those wheels on the bow are going to mean they're holding a lot less weight at full draw, which is something a lot of people talk about in the wind. So a recurve is much longer, you're getting blown around, the bow's getting blown around, but you're holding so much more weight, you're able to steady things. Whereas with a compound, some of these archers are only holding 15 to 20 pounds when they're at full draw trying to aim in this wind. So the bow may not get blown around as much, but they feel it. So 2-point lead for Tanja.
When you were ranked at the top of the world in compound archery, what was your strategy when you were shooting all over the world in, you know, different countries, different conditions? What's your wind strategy with a compound bow?
I loved the wind because I live on top of a hill. It's always windy, and I knew that I could dominate when it was windy. I used a little bit of a bubbling strategy along with aiming off if I needed to, if it was super strong. But in this kind of tricky wind, I would just bubble a little left, a little right, just enough to put my arrow in the middle. So as we talked about, you notice these archers take a little bit longer. They're really fine-tuning their aim versus the recurve and the bare bow that got super quick shots off.
And oftentimes you see that. We call that the English. It's like when the shot breaks, when the release goes off, if it's not exactly where you want it to be, even though the arrow's already gone, you're still trying to fight it. Oh.
Nice 10 there for Toja.
Just a fantastic release, too. You can just see the rhythm for that particular moment was there.
That was a much better shot. You could see it.
And that is her normal rhythm for Tanja Jensen. Oh, big gust. That is moving around a lot.
And again, they only have 20 seconds, so not enough time to let that down. And she gets a 10.
Unreal. Wow.
So that just shows the strength Toja has to be able to hold the bow steady, let that gust pass, and then fire the shot.
And she answers. So Tanja Jensen answers on that one. Yeah, you know, you talk about the strength for Toja Ellison. She spent the last month back home in Slovenia and was hanging out. She said she kind of detoxed from social media. She was able to work out, go to the beach, and just really gain some strength back and some energy back. And, you know, she just had such a great attitude as she rolled into Ohio for this tournament. And wow, it is really showing.
Yeah, so Toja's been doing all the international stuff just like Tanja, but Tanya's been adding in the 3D circuit this year, and so she's been shooting some foam animals, mixing it up a little, but that means she's been away from home on the road a little bit more than what we've seen for Toja.
And of course, Toja from Slovenia, but lives in Arizona now with her husband, Tanja Jensen.
And they actually split time in California with the training center there, so.
As for Tanja Jensen, her boyfriend, Braden Gellantine, lives in Massachusetts, so she splits time between, you know, her time in Europe and Massachusetts and on the road.
And I know she's heading home for about a month after this, and I know she's very excited just to go home, and rest up for a little bit.
Yeah, USA Archery has one more tournament this season, but for a lot of archers, the season's pretty much wrapping up because a lot of archers are also hunters, and we roll into hunting season. But for this USA Archery gold medal match, the 2019 U.S. Open on the line, cumulative scoring, Tanja Jensen leading Toja Ellison.
So keeping the 2-point lead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was kind of waiting. I was like, well, I jumped the gun a little bit on that one, but holding on to the 2-point.
Very surprising there to see Toja with an 8 again in this match. Uncharacteristic for her. We're used to seeing her just pound the 10 ring.
Oh man, that's a great shot of the movement on that bow.
So Tanja's going to pick up a couple more points there on that arrow.
If I mean, that's the thing with this wind, if she can kind of keep it steady at this point. And a 9.
So you see she's kind of circling around. That shows you how tricky these conditions are. She really having trouble to fine tune where she needs to aim. And oh, Tanja throws it right back with an 8.
Yep, and that's what cumulative scoring will get you. You're never totally safe.
No, when you get a little bit of a gap, you want to put your foot on the pedal and just push that thing straight to the floor.
Now, Crystal, do you think, as Tanja Jensen seems to be a very quick rhythmic shooter, when you get into conditions like this and you have to hold a lot longer, you know, how does that affect the way that you go through your shot process?
It can be tricky. I know I was a quick shooter as well, and it can be tough up there because you're used to knocking an arrow and just firing it, and especially if your competitor is a little bit of a slower shooter, you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting for them to shoot when you want to just be shooting. And you got to wait out those wind gusts. And so it's really key that you focus on the very end of your shooting process and really repeat that every single time.
Yeah, normally in qualifications, you just have 6 arrows. You shoot them on your own. You have a clock of 4 minutes, or an elimination, you're going to shoot 3 arrows with a clock of 2 minutes. It's defined by your rhythm. Here, on this finals field, it's 20 seconds per. 3-point lead for Tanja Jensen as Toja Ellison goes back to full draw. Dealing with this wind, lets that one sail and drifted to the right.
And similarly, if you're a slower shooter and you're used to a little bit more time between arrows, if your competitor shoots quick, you don't have a lot of time. You gotta knock your arrow faster. You gotta speed up your process because again, your clock starts as soon as their arrow hits the target. So you only have the chance. You don't have 20 seconds to rest. You have however long it takes your opponent to shoot their arrow to rest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, unbelievable.
She's putting on a clinic now.
Mm-hmm. Here we are, the final end of competition.
The last arrow. And a 7. Wow.
I think that's going to be enough, though.
Yep.
And a congratulatory hug from Toja Ellison to Tanja Jensen, who, even though she just needed to hit paper.
Well, she hit paper. Did what she needed to do to clinch that match, 137 to 131.
Outstanding shooting in very tricky conditions. And so, Tanja Jensen with PJ.
Tanja, congratulations. Tell me about shooting in that wind.
Honestly, there's a lot less nerves than normally. Because normally you're trying to shoot 10s, and today you can't control anything. You can shoot an amazing shot and it can still be an 8. So you're just kind of trying. Okay, it's somewhere near the yellow. Shoot.
So I was watching your bow. Your bow was moving pretty good, but you were hitting the X10s. I mean, tell me about that.
So I sped up my release a lot before coming in here because I'm like, it's gonna be super windy. I don't have time to do the normal like pull nice and slow. So I still, pull it where it's going, but I want to be able to do it in like half a second.
Gotcha. Well, it seemed to work. Congratulations, 2019 U.S. Open champ.
Thank you. It's awesome.
She said it. It is awesome. It is awesome. And what a match. Could be very unpredictable. Toja Ellison put up a great fight in tricky conditions. As we look at her shooting form, what's your summation of that match?
Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think that Tanja said it all. It's just in the gold and let it fly. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back to the field here in Ohio, we'll have our final match of the 2019 U.S. Open.
Red Zone. Carbon Express's small diameter Maxima Red SD, taking big game hunting to an all-new level, making other competitors' single spine arrows obsolete. Patented tri-spine technology controls arrow flight, delivering better downrange energy and accuracy, all in a small diameter shaft. Think you're shooting the best hunting arrow in the game? Think again. Stay in the Red Zone. Assume nothing and shoot Carbon Express.
USA Archery's 2019 U.S. Open in Dublin, Ohio is brought to you by Hoyt. Get serious. Get Hoyt.